Hello, everyone. Hello, Anya.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Yeah, 11-ish. We're on time. So maybe waiting just a couple of minutes to see if we've got more people to connect. We already have quite a few persons. Thank you for joining. How are you today, Anya?
Good, very good.
Yeah.
Have been looking forward to this. So really looking forward to having a conversation with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been working and networking together for a while now, and it's the first time we get to actually do something
Yes. Yes.
before Secret, so that's great. It's a connection between France and Denmark.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we're crossing borders.
Exactly.
Okay, we got more people. Hello, everyone. Bonjour. We have people from France, people from Denmark, Sweden this morning, so it's great. And Netherlands as well.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. It talks to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe we're gonna start. Not to lose time, of course, in your busy agenda to you all. Great. So, well, good morning. We are happy to have you for this morning session today. So a French-Danish connection. So we're going to talk about technology supporting operations with suppliers within the fashion industry, because we thought it would be interesting to actually take both angles and approaches from the PLM side with Anya, and from the supply chain management side with us, e-SCM, as we both have expertise over the fashion industry particularly, and there is a lot to talk, and we already also work together in a way because we have a common customer here in Denmark at Hummel. So yes, we're gonna let you dig into the topic with us today. So we have people from France that may not know Delogue. Anya, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course I will. My name is Anya Paget, coming to you from Copenhagen. I'm head of ESG and communication here at Delogue. We are a PLM system. I'll dive into a bit of explanation to who we are a bit later in the presentation. But for now, I can say that we approach, of course, the fashion industry, the textile industry with our PLM solution. We are primarily in the Nordic countries, Netherlands and Germany, the UK. So of course, a bit outside of our borders, but very much represented in the Nordic countries.
Thank you, Anya. So myself, Caroline Anziuti, for those on the Nordic side, so I represent e-SCM Solutions. It's a SaaS solution edited by the company Bellara. e-SCM for e-supply chain management. We are supporting fashion and luxury brands into digitizing and optimizing the supply chain upstream, so particularly the procurement operations and process with suppliers externally, and we've been doing so for more than 15 years. So that's how our mutual expertise can really combine, and we can share a lot of insight today about rising subject and constraint on your daily job as you participate today. So what we will do, we will bring a bit of context, background, of course, about what are the challenges you may face in your daily job, what we know about the fashion industry currently, and in the end, why combining a PLM and SCM system can really help you tackle some challenges and gain productivity overall. Trying to illustrate also by the benefits of such combination from experience, and in the end, how to get started, maybe. We'll have a Q&A session, of course. So starting from now, don't hesitate to submit your questions in the conversation, in the chat window. We have also Mathilde that posted a message for that. We will take care of that at the end of the session. And for your information, we will be recording, of course, the webinar so that we can communicate and share with you the replay for those who registered but could not connect maybe this morning. So we will send also out the presentation for your record. Okay, so a lot to say, of course, currently onto the fashion industry. A lot has been going on for let's say, the past 10 years even. There's really a lot at stake between supply chain and operations, but most of all because, let's say, there is a shift in different aspects of the business, shift in the consuming behavior, of course, because consumers are expecting a reduced time to market more and more. There was a big focus before onto the customer experience in store, the sellout results. Brands were very much focused on their retail operations. And for the past 10 years, 5 years, especially since the pandemic, the COVID, there's been a switch by, of course, looking more at the upstream side of the business and operations and really procurement. How do you get your stock in store on time or not? Dealing with volatility of the markets, but also logistics disruption as we experienced during the pandemic, shortage of production, and also the shift of the sourcing footprints, because now brands are dealing more and more trying to balance between nearshoring and longshoring into their sourcing portfolio, switching from China to Asia maybe and Europe. So definitely it makes sense to look more into the supply chain management and the upstream side, all that is linked to the product conception, but as well to the PO management and the production of your collections. It's very complex because supply chains are very fragmented these days. So it's important to really try to gain agility in order to tackle the challenges overall and mitigate risks with suppliers. So what we notice is really that there is a reconfiguration of supply chains that are trying to be more agile, more connected, and putting back the suppliers also at the center of the collaboration, because the linear models that brands experienced in the past are no longer viable. It's not anymore just a transaction that you have with your supplier. It can be a real strategic partnership to make sure that you can innovate and, of course, bring in your stock in compliance and on time in your warehouse. So there's a lot at stake, and technology for that can be a really game changer in order for you to innovate and to accelerate the performance of the business. Because at the end, it's about having better inventory monitoring, inventory excellence, and also mitigating risks of quality, which impact at the end the stock management and so the cash flow of organizations. So definitely that implies challenges on a day-to-day basis for you in your positions. You may be linked to production, product conception, but also maybe operations, logistics. And at the end, it's quite often that you experience some lack of productivity because of manual processes. Of course, Excel, emails, we know that, Anya. Well, at least Excel does exist and has always been a solution, and it works well to a certain point, let's say. But it's true that a majority of brands still work with manual processes. You probably have documentation also to gather, consolidate for the legislation. So in the end, once you are dealing with suppliers, it's often visibility that you are lacking. You are not aligned in terms of lead times, so you have delays in approvals and production. And that can happen both at the beginning with the product conception, when you need to confirm a bill of material, you need to change a certain fabric, and at the end, how can you be sure and react quickly to impact that onto your production? Inbound logistics has become very strategic because of the geopolitical events that may happen. There has been a lot of disruptions in routing of transport. You may have to change your transport mode last minute, get something by air or change to a sea freight. And in the end, you can also look at rationalizing your cost, because all these operations have impact on the control cost. And of course, compliance risks, because this has been ongoing for the past few years now, that there is a big surge for transparency within the industry from the rising legislations coming up. And already in different countries, we have existing legislation, such as AGEC law in France, but also from the EU coming soon. So this is important to start structuring the data collection, data management, but it's important also to take that as an opportunity to collect data, achieve transparency objectives, but take advantage of it to better monitor your operations overall, because data is not only for the sake of a product journey, it's also data that you need to share between various divisions along the chain. So that's how it's important to think of innovating and digitizing within the supply chain as well. And that has become more and more prevalent within organizations. And that's very positive, because that will be definitely, I think, Anya, you will agree, that will be a must-do for the future if brands want to sustain their performance and meet their regulatory objectives and be compliant. So when we look at the supply chain overall, it's quite complex. There's a lot of data transiting between various divisions upstream. There are maybe different systems that can be articulated together, starting from really the early stage of product conception. We have the design with Delogue, for example, a PLM system, where you're going to interact with your suppliers about bill of material, conception, just before you design your collection. And once it's finalized, then you are going into your wholesale sessions, doing your forecast. And once your SNOP is ready, you can launch into production. And that's where also an SRM system, we call it as well, supplier relation management or supply chain management system, can help you, because once the production is launched, you usually don't have interaction anymore onto the PLM. You deal then by email, and so it can be a big risk inherent to the production conformity, to the delay that can emerge. And the particularity of e-SCM here, we can say, is that we combine both production follow-up, PO management, but as well transport management. So we combine both production and transport data at the same time. Let's say an SRM and TMS system together, which is quite unique, and it's a completely independent system. And at the end, you can have end-to-end from the design until the production and reception into your warehouse. By combining PLM and SRM, you can have end-to-end visibility over your inbound shipments and know exactly when your production, your collection is going to land. It goes without saying that the ERP remains quite central, of course, to the IT infrastructure. This is the fundamental of the business management. And they are quite strong. You can have ERP also dedicated to the fashion industry, which is a good asset. But often the ERP are less flexible, and they have some data available regarding conception or production, but it's very limited, and it's usually manually updated by yourself into the ERP. And the idea is really with a PLM and SCM system to automate processes as much as possible and provide you with more productivity at the end and less risk of errors. And sharing a visibility is really what should help you in the end to make better, to have a better decision-making process, more informed, and to spend less time on time-consuming tasks and to be really focused on the strategic dimension of your position. So maybe, Anya, you can now say a bit more into details about PLM scope. Of course, some of you may already have a PLM, some not. So it's good to challenge the knowledge.
I will. So so as we said, we are a Delogue PLM platform. We are about 12 years old, so we've been in the industry for quite some time, and we of course target the fashion industry and textile industry with our PLM solution, cloud-based as well. And sort of the three things that we really focus on, and in the daily work that we do, and when I participate in webinars, etc., is of course to highlight why we think that this is so important, that it is so important to have a PLM system. One of the things is, as Caroline also mentioned, is about sort of the data collecting, because a PLM system is sort of where this is where your collection starts. This is where your work sort of starts. Which products am I creating, and what does those products consist of? And prior to previous situations over the 10 years ago, where it wasn't necessary to be so granular in the data collection and the information load, that now is sort of hitting the industry with a need for it to be much more granular than we've ever seen. I myself have been in the industry for 15 years, and it's quite new also for me to realize that this industry is quite lacking of the information load and need that we do to be compliance legislation, requirements needed from our customers, from the retailers, etc. So it's sort of about getting ready for that load of work that you have to work with, and that is where sort of the PLM system becomes very, very vital for your start of the journey, to sort of ensure that you have the information. That sort of tangles into where does that information then come from, because one of the things that we can of course see, and that everybody sort of realizes is in the process of collecting data, is that it comes from the suppliers. So information about the product itself and what that product consists of in the bill of material, that's information that our dear suppliers around the world globally is sitting with and have that information. So we have, of course, find it as one of the key elements of our platform, because all of the brands that have our platform, their suppliers have full access to it as well. So they can go into the platform and they can, of course, add the data. And the more and more we see if the ESG requirements coming our way, the more we of course realize that the more data the suppliers need to supply. So it's a collaboration between the brand and the supplier to ensure that the data load, the information load that they need to proceed with other platforms in the continuous development, is that they definitely need this. They need the collaboration between the supplier and the brand to work, and they need a technical solution for that to happen. As Caroline also mentioned, it becomes very outdated to work with an Excel sheet. If you have, let's say, 1,000 Excel sheets a year, because that's approximately how many styles you are creating, the way of collecting that data becomes very manual, and that is where we sort of see our position as being a platform where you can start your collection and get all of that data in. And then, of course, we also like to see ourselves as somebody that is actually built by the industry for the industry. Our founder, Rikke, worked in the industry before she decided to create the platform Delogue. So she'd worked with the buying role, the designing role in the industry, and sort of took all of that knowledge she had, combined it with all of the network she had to sort of get to the way to the place where we could create a platform that is there for the brands, that is there for the suppliers to engage those two stakeholders in the collaboration. So we really see ourselves as a platform that's built by the industry to ensure that it's user friendly and everything is sort of simplified and it helps you along the way. So you don't forget any processes that you might have to do throughout the process of developing your products.
I think it's interesting here what's happening, because I always reflect on the fact that suppliers are back into the center of the place, let's say.
Exactly.
And they have the value, they have the data, but
yeah.
Unfortunately, most of the pressure is on them, because a lot of brands, I mean, if you talk to suppliers today, they will tell you a lot of brands are coming to us with different solutions, various systems. Now we need to provide this data.
Yeah.
It's in a way, it's a shame that the industry hasn't thought about it in a reverse way, where we could have thought of a system for suppliers to push the data to brands. It could have been universal, but at the end, it's positive, even though it's a big constraint now for brands. It's positive to see that the legislation is pushing brands to be accountable for what they produce and what they work and how they work with suppliers. I think it's very sane, even though that's a major constraint and everybody's trying to react in the urgency.
Exactly.
When I see what's happening in France, and you all know probably about AGECLO that has been enforced for now 3-4 years, it's still a process for French companies. They are still not completely compliant. They are starting to communicate and have this data available. So it's a long process, and it's only happening now. But it's also an experience to learn from. And we see that, honestly, when you look at the level of data you can already have in a PLM and then in a SCM system, it's already a lot you can do onto your product journey. And yeah, it's not necessarily that you have to think out of the box or think of a third system. It's also how you can already leverage on the data that you have in all the systems you have internally.
Exactly. You can take the next slide. It's just to, of course, we are, as I said, very much located in the Nordic countries. We have about a little above 280 brands using our platform today, many of whom you probably know, and that's definitely our force is that we use our brands as inspiration, as what do they need in their daily life, and we of course try and ensure that our platform helps them in their daily work. A PLM system, I was just speaking prior to this webinar to our CTO, and he did an analysis of how much are you using your platform, or how much are our customers using our platform during their daily life. And I think he ended up seeing that it was about 50 hours a month. Yeah. And that was active. So that's not counting when they're inactive in our platform. Yeah. That's counting when they are working in our platform. That's the 50 hours a month that they sit in our platform.
Yeah, definitely technology is going to be central in a day-to-day job. And actually, it's not something that is so much stressed out in education during school and university. You don't necessarily learn about the systems you may be using. And it's interesting then for the case of us, how we can also push a connection between us systems when we work mutually with Hummel, which is the case for us. It's how we got to connect and know each other to see, okay, we have this common customer together. What can we do to push synergies to provide them with even more added value between our systems? And that's how it can be really valuable for both the customer and for us.
Yeah, exactly. If I should just, I wanted to just highlight sort of the 3 parts of our platform that we are particularly happy about having and continuously look at how we can optimize as much as possible. Now, I think I normally use the word hero product for our bill of material, because that's sort of the main place we have in our platform, which is really important for everything that they then do, whether it's sample process, whether it's collaborating with the suppliers, anything sort of happens around this bill of material, because that is the recipe for how the products are supposed to look like. And that's also where the data sort of have to lie. So the bill of material is really where we can connect a lot of data points and ask the suppliers to connect a lot of data points to ensure that you actually from the get-go are ready for whichever data you might need. Same goes for the supplier collaboration. We need them to add a lot of the data, that it doesn't go through an email or an Excel sheet and then and then you have to collect it somewhere, that it actually is there and it's real time, so that it gets updated all the time. And then, of course, one of the things that we really see as a very important thing, and I think, Caroline, that's also a really important thing for your platform, is that it's about streamlining the processes that they have. I visit a lot of our customers where I can see that in a funny way, the fashion industry is also an industry that actually has a bit of a different value chain depending on which company you go to. It depends on sort of your background, your interests, and sort of what you've been working with prior to what you sit with.
You can buy products, you can buy, you can do contract manufacturing, buying fabric.
It's so different from where you come from. But what we see is sort of when we see all of this surrounding the fashion industry in terms of all the legislation coming and all of the requirements they have, that there is really a need to sort of streamline the way that they're doing it out there. Because if you streamline it more than they've been used to, then you also ensure that you collect the right information from the right people at the right time. So it's really about looking at when you use a PLM system like ours, about using the process tools that we have in sample request, bill of material, the flow of from your idea to when you are when you're ready for that product to go into the ERP and further on to your system. It's sort of about streamlining that, which is quite simple in our platform, because I think that really is a strength when you look at what you actually have to do now compared to about 10 years ago. So that's just sort of highlighting the three things that we really see as a force for having a Delogue PLM solution.
And it's important to mention that you have emphasized particularly this year onto the roadmap of your software, the supplier interaction with a dedicated module for suppliers to go further into this CSR traceability aspect, which is good, because I mean, when we look at this type of data, bill of materials, all the CSR aspect, this is already a level of data that you have into the PLM that you can combine then with the level, and I will switch on, and in this case, that you can combine with the level of data that then you have in a supply chain management system.
Definitely.
Of course, the aim of the supply chain management system is the collect of the data, but also to help you better monitor the procurement operations in real time. So that has really some leverage on the operational efficiency, which is at the end the performance of the business. And the interaction with suppliers will exist again onto the SCM system, but typically linked to the production and the PO management first. So what we're going to push, our mission is really to foster the collaboration between teams internally and externally, help centralize the data, exchange the data in real time, and share this visibility for the decision-making process. And at the end, secure your operation act and control your lead times, so that you can reduce your time to market and you can improve productivity and rationalize some operational costs. And you can do a lot. And I like to share that graph because I think it speaks for itself. Because basically the supply chain management system is going to help you control this lead time, starting from the PO management production until it's received in your warehouse. What we call the order in time in full, which is a very key KPI for the supply chain managers or purchasing managers. And if you want to control that, it means that you need to streamline every step that contributes to this lead time. And that's what we provide. It's a follow-up of each step. And starting with the PO, maybe PO management, You may have the case where once you have placed the PO with suppliers, once the design is done, it's sent by the ERP. So we get them onto e-SCM, which is a central tool where everybody works. You no longer work into your emails or your ERP. You do everything onto e-SCM, and then you can start reviewing all the terms of your PO and agree with the suppliers really onto the final terms. So imagine at the moment what's happening with this big rise of tariffs, custom tariffs happening, is it means that companies may face a rising price, purchasing price. Definitely that will impact. So in this case, you have to review again the terms of your PO. So you can do it in real time onto e-SCM, do modifications, changes through a change request process. And at the end, it's automatically synchronized with your ERP. And that's the case for finished products. Or imagine you're in contract manufacturing and you have to provide, you're buying your own fabric, your own material and your own components, and that you have agreed into the PLM, and then you send them to the supplier. If you have to change a fabric last minute, you change it into your PLM, you have to make sure that this reflects into your production. Or you need to be sure that you have a pre-production sample that is sent, or that the fabric has been received before production. So these are steps maybe that you can, quality steps that you can monitor into the PLM. And in this case, you can look at sending the data directly from the PLM to the SCM system, so that in the production follow-up, we have specific indicators that help to really streamline the process. We can say, okay, in the PLM, we have a go onto the fabric, it's been received, production can start, and then we can automatically push the button into e-SCM if we have the data transit between the PLM and e-SCM. Or if you have contract manufacturing, doing your own, using your own fabric and components, that can be based on the bill of material that we import from the PLM into e-SCM. And if we have the bill of material onto e-SCM, it's even more data that you can combine from both bill of material and production transport data in real time. And moving forward, once your production is done, you can ship your collections. That's where a supplier will come into communication with the freight forwarder directly. Quite often, you know when the goods are going to be picked up, but after that, you don't know what's happening. Maybe the supplier will inform you by email that it's been picked up, but imagine it happens maybe 3 days later and they haven't informed you. So in the end, you have lost 3 days, you don't know about that. Or you are waiting for your freight forwarder to inform you. In this case, the freight forwarder will update directly onto e-SCM the specific transit time, such as ETA, ETD, ATA, ATD, that you are really looking after. And you can have such date into the ERP, but it's usually one date only. And if you want to change it, you have to scratch it manually. So here you can have, you don't need to go into the ERP, you have everything onto the SCM system, and it's a real TMS dimension actually that we combine with the production follow-up. And what suppliers really appreciate is that we help them by facilitating the generation of transport documentation. Let's talk about packing list. I think that can be a nightmare to a lot of you. You receive packing lists by email, they are not homogeneous, there are mistakes. So here you can just make sure that your process is automated, controlled, and that makes the supplier's life easier. That's the point. I mean, we haven't talked yet about the supplier commitment to using technology. A lot of the time we get the comment from brands saying, but my suppliers are going to be reluctant. It's going to be difficult to onboard them onto the solution. Actually, it's contrary. I think suppliers, they appreciate to have a tool where they work in real time with the brand. It's very reassuring. It makes their life easier. So of course, you have to onboard them, but it's something you can do as well to really nurture your partnership. or sometimes we do it for the brand. But at the end, it's very reassuring for them, and it's all historized. The data is here. You can have someone from the brand side. You can have someone answering you, even if someone is out of the office. So they appreciate it, and they actually step up with the systems from both PLM or SCM side. It's a way for them to really increase their skills. So it's very important to say. And at the end, onto the SCM system, you get to anticipate and learn about your reception schedule, because the freight forwarder will make an appointment, and you will know exactly what dates, what time your containers will be delivered at your warehouse, and the warehouse can anticipate the workload and the storage as well. So it's really how to streamlining the whole process from conception until production and delivery. You maximize your outbound into your channels, and you make sure that your time to market is as efficient as possible. So on our side, we are, just to illustrate, we are working with various brands from various categories. So that's how we nurture as well the knowledge about different processes. We've been exposed to configurations, categories of kids fashion, lingerie, sportswear. So that helps really to learn about the specificities and to push further every time the scope of functionality of the platform. And if we go on, that's how also we try to learn from the common case we may have, and we talk here about Hummel, Enya. It's true that Hummel has this very digital mindset, very visionary, and I think it's part of the success of digitizing an organization, because you can do a lot manually until you reach a point where you are at risk, and you want to digitize. So it's a maturity as well that you need to have and to spread within the company. And I think for that, Hummel is very visionary, as they have digitized a lot of their processes, and we got to learn about both how they use Delogue at the beginning for the conception, manage the quality control, and then they switch all the POs into SCM, and so they can really monitor all their inbound production and inbound delivery, so that they maximize it at the end. And typically, if there is a quality control into Delogue, that can be directly integrated onto e-SCM to unlock a production indicator to say, okay, quality is okay, there's a green light, production can move on. And then it's not necessarily that you push interfaces between systems. It depends on your IT infrastructure, because large companies or medium-sized companies tend to have more and more what we call data hub. So it's actually data transiting through a hub, through a bus, and you no longer push necessarily interfaces between the systems, but at least you control, you manage how the data transits, and it's even easier. But that was for us the real common case to see how Hummel has decided to really push further the automation of processes, and they have, I think, gained such visibility over all the upstream supply chain. It's a big value on their side in terms of the productivity they gained, the stock conformity they have improved. And with an automated warehouse, they can accelerate even more the dispatch into their channels. So I think it's pretty obvious in terms of the benefits that you can gain from these mutual systems.
Yeah, the only thing also, Caroline, you said in terms of sort of digital monetization, I do feel that the further we get along to sort of the requirements needed for the fashion industry, the faster they are in sort of adapting to this digitalization that is happening in the fashion industry. That's at least what we can also feel from from our customers is that they are really adapting to this new way of thinking more so this year than they were actually just last year.
Yeah.
It's sort of like it sort of feels like last year was sort of a year where people were becoming aware of these changes, becoming aware of this legislation hitting them. And I feel like this year is really much a year where you sort of feel now you can really feel the need out there to really see which technical solutions do we need to sort of solve our problems, right? I mean, because you cannot get through without that at the moment. That's sort of the whole point, is that we do see that.
And it's not only going to be for the CSR objective. That's the point. It's really
Exactly.
how the agility you want to generate, how efficient you want to be. You need technology at various steps, and of course it's important also for people retention in companies. The more tools you're going to provide to your employees for their daily job, innovation you're going to impulse, it's also how you keep them stable and long term at their position, because that's the future. It's really it contributes to the dynamic.
It's a lot of tasks sort of coming upon the industry to figure out how do we navigate in all of these new tasks that we have to do. Now it's not feasible anymore to basically just design a product and get it to market. You need to there's a lot of steps in between. And as you said, I think, of course, there are a lot of brands that are very ambitious in terms of the sustainability agenda, that they want to do better, they want to do good. But I think the legislation is sort of pushing the agenda of also just being compliant. And so it's not feasible anymore to not be compliant. And that's sort of that's really where we see a lot of the brands struggling, because they internally are faced with a lot of new tasks that they weren't necessarily used to before. And that's, of course, where, as you said, with the technology comes into play, because how can we as different technical solutions make that job a bit more simple? How can we ensure that they can still focus on what they want to do and what they are very, very good at, while still being compliant in this new landscape that we're facing? So I think it's definitely right now a stepping stone for the fashion industry to sort of figure out how do we do it in the new way. And as you also mentioned with the suppliers, I think we speak, of course, because you also have access supplier wise, and we do as well. It's also really important for everyone who has that two-way access to get the supplier's point of view, because they are, as we mentioned, the data deliverables. They have all of these data that they need to deliver. So how do they do that in the smartest way? And I think I haven't spoken to any supplier yet, neither in my previous jobs or here, where they are not emphasizing that they would need tools to do that. They do not want to send them via Excel sheets in an email, and then there is human errors in terms of then transferring that information to another system where you can then do your possible following up and everything, right?
It's interesting, because sometimes we get actually approached and called by a supplier who know our system by using it, and they actually believe that there could be a supplier version for them to just push all the data directly to the brands, and that would make sense. And at the end, you can find also suppliers using commonly our systems, all using the same system, so you can get synergy on that. But what is important for the future, I think, is that we're going to see more and more the combination of PLM and e-SCM together. In France, it's true that in France, it's been very prevalent to deploy what our system that we can call a supplier portal. It has been very popular and prevalent for the past 5-10 years, more than in the Nordics. I totally see it. The type of system we have is more hybrid, is very innovative, and it's less popular in the Nordics. You know more about PLM, ERP systems, but I think it's going to switch, because after conception, PO management has become really crucial now for control cost control and efficiency. So it's going to be even more and more under the radar. And I think PLM and e-SCM systems are going to be the combination to win in the future. And we're going to see it more and more.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think I read, I think it was the McKinsey report from last year that also said that we've seen a lot of the huge wave of sort of the sustainability wave, and now it's actually sort of not really as focused, because the focus right now is also to run your business, to ensure that you can run your business and make money, right? So right now it's about having those parallel runs at the moment, because of course you still need the compliance. You need to ensure that you are ready, but you need to run your business and get your products made and to the country. So I think it's really about sort of navigating those two parallel initiatives, and ensure that you will focus on both. Where I definitely see an e-SCM being sort of a crucial place to ensure that you can actually work with both, and then have the PLM system as your sort of baseline in terms of creating your products in the right way.
Yeah.
In the way that you want them to be compliant when they then reach the market. Because of course, for us, the development stage is the crucial part of being in a PLM system. That's where you develop your products, and you guys take over when they're ready for production. So for us, it's also a focus of ensuring that the products are created from the get-go in the right way, and then we can follow it along the way until it gets to the market. But it's about sort of switching it around at the moment, because it has been for very long time sort of we produce a product, and then we get to the PO and we place the production order, and then we sort of realize we do not actually have the documentation and all of the data we need. And now we need to switch it around to ensure that we get that from the get-go, instead of actually doing it the other way around. So that would make the processes easier as well, right?
Really different mindset, yeah.
But I just saw that we are running out of time.
Exactly. So do we have questions? Don't hesitate. Any questions we may help you with? Well, we're a bit short of time, so
so far so good.
Yeah,
I just took the liberty to sort of do a bit of talk about coming webinar that we have tomorrow. We do a webinar each month, which is basically a very simple setup where we sit down. We have a person sitting in our product team who is from the industry, and she's very much in the sort of development of our product, our platform, and we sit together, her and one of our ESG experts, to just basically answer your questions. If you have questions in terms of how does the log work, can it do this, how does this function work, or what about the ESG agenda, when is the DPP coming, all of those questions that you might sit out there as a brand, as a buyer, whomever role you have, then of course we are there to help in any way we can. So we have this webinar each month.
It's so important to be close to your customers as well. And we do that with the user club also. It's how you can really learn about need, the evolution, build together the future of your system. And I just put here a QR code to an SRM guide that we have available onto the website, which is dedicated to the SRM strategy you can define and set up to optimize processes.
Nice.
That's available on our website. And final information, but very key because we are so excited about it.
Yes, let's do a bit of talk about the live webinar. So we are very, very, very pleased that e-SCM will join us on the 15th of May in Copenhagen. We have rented something called Moltke's Mansion in the center of Copenhagen. It's a very, very, very beautiful place where we will host a live event called Tech Thread. We'll have 300 guests coming. We have a very good main stage to sort of just highlight the very many difficulties there. We'll have Boost coming to give insights to what are they actually asking for, what are all of the requests that they ask for, and why are they doing all of this. And we'll have brands come there and sort of talk about what are the difficulties and why is it so difficult. We'll of course talk a bit about AI, because that's sort of a hot topic in general in the fashion industry, and what does that mean for the fashion industry. And we'll have ESG experts, organization experts to give an insight to both industry knowledge and of course legislation knowledge, etc. So it's going to be a really exciting day. e-SCM is joining us. also on stage, both
And
on the main stage, and they have their own stage as well to present and give a bit of insights of who they are. So it's going to be an exciting day.
yeah.
And you can read more. We of course have a web page where you can go and read more about the event. Tickets are available as well. They're running fast, so if you want to join, go to our website.
We're so excited. It's a
Yeah.
first. It's first in Copenhagen and Denmark that we have finally an event crossing at the crossroad of fashion and tech together for all the support we can bring. So we're very much looking forward to it. We'll be there definitely on the 15th of May.
Yeah.
So, well, we hope you enjoyed the session, got some, of course, learning, insight. It's always good to share. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach both of us.
Yes.
By email on LinkedIn. We will send out the presentation and the replay will be available very soon. And I think we will come to the end of the recording.
Yes.
Thank you,
so
Anya.
much, Caroline. Thank you. It's a pleasure as always.
Have a lovely day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.